Cody Stoots was there, and now he's here. Cody from Houston football, along with Zach Tawatari and Luis Ortiz. Thanks for coming in, man.
Thanks for having me. On a nice little Easter Sunday, got the Easter blue on.
We noticed.
We love it.
Thanks.
Extra points right there. Now, D'Amico had a lot to say in Phoenix when you were there. Over on the big board, we have three choices for you. D'Amico talking about the change in quarterback coaches, the additions to the O-line, or his comments about CJ's offseason. Which one, by number, was most surprising to you?
Most surprising for me was number 3. And let's hear what the coach had to say.
The past couple off seasons, he hasn't had that full time to really, whether it was injury or other things, so he hasn't had that full time to dedicate himself to off season. So I see a guy who's in full grind mode right now.
We were told shoulder soreness in the offseason or during training camp. It appears now it was a little bit more than that. Can we move the goalpost that way?
Yeah, that's exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to talk about it like it was a real injury, because it was a real injury. He was the only starting quarterback that wasn't hurt the previous year, that wasn't throwing in OTAs. And yeah, he showed up for mini camp, but go watch 2025 CJ Stroud and go watch 2023 CJ Stroud. 2023 CJ Stroud had more zip on the football. He could put it wherever he wanted. In 2025, couldn't do that. Man, if this is the first real offseason for C.J. Stroud, then maybe we're all going to see the best version of C.J. Stroud yet, but it was kind of funny how they downplayed that shoulder thing last year, huh?
Yeah, teams tend to do that kind of thing, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, they try to keep everything close to the chest, right? They just don't want to give anybody an advantage, but I think you also kind of need that transparency to say, okay, this is what's going on with C.J., because it was evident. I think we all could see it, right? And you don't want to make assumptions, but the way that we saw him be so limited during training camp, as you mentioned, it was very clear that there was something more serious going on. We're still kind of, in doubt as to what the actual injury was.
And I think the person it becomes most unfair to is CJ himself, because here everybody is thinking or believing that he's healthy, even though I think we all could see there was something that was just a little bit off. And you know how those things kind of snowball and can compile. But it ends up being unfair to him because he has to sit there and continue to deflect the negativity where this whole time something is wrong under, behind the scenes.
And certainly people make assumptions about what is really happening or what is really wrong. But Cody, we were kind of told nothing to see here, move on, right?
Well, I mean, it's not like the general manager of this team wasn't the general manager for the New England Patriots when all those mysterious Tom Brady injuries were hidden for seasons, and then we heard about them in the offseason after. It's worth noting, C.J. Stroud nor the team ever used the shoulder as an excuse. So we took last season for what it was, and I guess during the football season he looked like he was good to go. But, hey, a whole offseason that you can't be yourself when you got a brand-new offense, I think now we understand why it took 6-7 weeks for this thing to kind of get rolling here.
And now that was your number one most surprising thing. Which would be number 2 on that big board?
Ooh, I got to think that the way he talked about Gerard Johnson and the exit and the changeover at quarterback, that for me would be number 2. Should we hear what the coach has to say?
Of course we should.
I thought he did some really good things to help CJ, help Davis, in that quarterback room. But how do you get to the next step? Sometimes it's addition by subtraction a little bit, but I know Gerard's going to be a really good coach in this league.
There have been many plausible explanations about what happened. It appears now, though, it was more the Texans saying time to move on. Are you getting that vibe?
I do get that vibe, and if you're Gerard Johnson and they say, hey, we're going to demote you, well, why wouldn't I go try to find a different job somewhere else and just try something else? Yeah, it's not great to walk away from being a quarterback coach. It's way worse to get demoted and to kind of have the gray area, walk into another job with another organization. Oh, by the way, their quarterback situation's a little weird and iffy, so good luck there. But the Texans wanted to try something new. They decided to try something new. Gerard Johnson wasn't a part of it, and they go with a guy that's more familiar and more in tune with what they want to do on offense and has experience with that offense, and Jerry Shaplinski.
And I imagine you guys are on board with that, trying something new, because in some ways what had been happening Is it too strong to say wasn't working? Because it was working a little bit.
It hadn't worked since 2023, really consistently, right? You know?
I think it was evident that not everybody was on the same page last year. And in order to win in an environment that everything is so close and so tight, everybody at the very least has to be on the same page. So if you don't have that, you can't have anything else. And I think that was evident last year with the Texans.
With the margins being so small, without a doubt.
Well, if they say if it ain't broken, don't fix it. If it is broken, you better fix it, right? Something was wrong. So, look, Bobby Slugger was the first one to go. Now it's a change at the quarterback coaching position. Look, things with Nick Caley, they're going to give him the second year. It looks like things were trending in the right direction towards the end of the season. Obviously, that final game against the Patriots was very bad. So if the change is not going to happen at the actual quarterback position because you're going to stick with C.J. Stroud, you've got to do something to, give him the confidence and make the game easier for him.
Well, it eliminates all the questions and excuses that C.J. might have, and you find out perhaps that C.J. is or isn't the answer with less questions and excuses around him.
And now on Saturday, Luis caught up with defensive lineman Danielle Hunter at his sister's volleyball tournament.
Yeah, no, he was there to show support to his little sister who's playing club volleyball, and he talked about, the moves that the Texans have made so far this offseason.
I like what I see so far. A lot of good guys, a lot of good leaders, a lot of good players on offense and defense. And I feel like that's going to be a plus for us because it's a whole bunch of veterans. It's a good mixture of veterans and younger guys, and when that happens, the team the sky's the limit for the team.
I don't think Danielle said anything out of the ordinary, do you?
I think that pros who are already in the pros like other pros more than rookies. They don't have to show them where everything is. They don't have to point them to where the bathroom and the food hall is. Like, hey, you'll figure it out. You're a pro. You've been in this thing before. I think pros like pros, and especially when they go and watch other teams and they see guys like a Reed Blankenship play really long into a season, play into a Super Bowl, win a Super Bowl. It feels pretty good to have those guys over. And I got to imagine Danielle knew, just like all of us, that offensive line probably could have gotten a little bit better, and now he's got some more foes for training camp.
Yeah, no, look, you listen to Danielle Hunter, and he just says they have that nice mix of veterans and young players. And, you sometimes need that because you need that leadership and you need the young guys that have more energy and can come out there and give you the type of depth that you need at some time throughout the season. But, he thinks that this team, the sky's the limit for them if they can just kind of click, which is what we want to see this team do.
Yeah, and I think you realize the longer you're in the league or any situation, how important experience is. And when you have people around you that are more experienced, it takes weight off of your plate and you get to go out there and play more freely. So I'm sure for him this season, it's going to be a relief in that regard.
Speaking of experience, this man has it, and that's why we have him in most Sundays, a lot of Sundays. Cody Stoots from Houston Football, HOUfootball.com. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight on Sports Extra.
Anytime.